Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jambo, bonjour, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. Today, we travel to the beautiful province of Quebec to speak to the author, the inspiration of a wonderful series of books called Tools of the Heart. Our guest today is Patrick Arguin. Before we begin our conversation with Patrick about Tools of the Heart, I want to tell you about a really fantastic tool that can make a difference in your kid's life. It's called Vooks. Vooks.com, Vooks.com. Vooks combines the love, trust, and safety of children's books with the convenience of online streaming, creating a whole new way to experience stories with a growing library of animated storybooks that both kids and parents will love. By adding movement, sound, and narration to existing books, Vooks brings stories to life, encouraging the love of reading while promoting literacy, imagination, and focus for children ages 2 to 8 years old. With Vooks, children can learn, laugh, and let their imagination soar, while parents can feel good about letting their little ones enjoy quality, guilt-free screen time. And right now, Vooks is offering a free 1-year subscription to every single teacher and homeschooling parent. And check this out. Vooks also has free resources to go along with some of their most beloved titles. To learn more, please visit Vooks.com. That's Vooks.com. Vooks.com. Joining us right now on the line from Victoriaville in Quebec, Canada. He is the driving force behind a beautiful, beautiful book series called Tools of the Heart. Please welcome to the show, Patrick Arguin. Patrick, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Jed. Thank you for having me.
I should say bonjour.
Bonjour.
Or is it bonsoir? I forget. Well, and that's the extent of my French. No, I know a little bit more, but welcome to the show. I'm mentioning that, and I'm saying hello in French because the Tools of the Heart originally was published in French. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
In 2011.
2011. Tell us, give us a little, because Tools of the Heart really it's a series. And so tell us how many books are there, and just kind of give us that 20,000 feet view of the series. Give us a little thumbnail of what we're going to find in the series.
There are 8 books in the series and 2 volumes, meaning that there are 2 compilations of 4 stories each. And the subject of Tools of the Heart really is about, teaching children to self-care, self-love, and self-compassion, in order to build their sense of worth and self-esteem and confidence and self-expression, etc. So it was it was a real labor of love that was inspired by my own children and by my own inner child, I would say, in my own journey, so to speak.
Yeah, you tell me a little bit about that journey. Talk to us a little bit about what happened that set you on this journey to create Tools of the Heart, please.
In 2000, I had hit a very low point in my life where I really had to redefine who I was, because I'd come to a point where I lost myself completely. And I didn't know what were my needs, my goals, etc. I was in a really rock bottom place. And so I started therapy and coaching. And 3 years later, my daughter was born. But it waited for another 3. When she was 3 years old, I got the inspiration for the books. Because it seemed to me that when she was going to daycare, it seemed stressful to her. So I thought, how can I teach her meditation and grounding that I was practicing at that time? So my first inspiration was to draw characters. like in the stories you have Colin the oak tree. So I use them to talk about grounding. And because I would show the roots of the tree, I created Mother Earth, then Father Sun. And because I wanted him to have a buddy, I created Fluffy the squirrel. And then I built stories around that. But, I envisioned really something bigger than just two stories. So I wondered, what is there to talk about? How can I help children? What areas children need tools and help? So that is when my own childhood came into play, because up to that point, I had 6 years of therapy and intense coaching behind me. And I was also in the process of becoming a therapist myself. And during those 6 years, it really helped me to reconnect with my own inner child. And, and all of these kind of provided me with the roadmap to what will become, the blueprint for the themes of the books. So I spent 2 years writing and fine tuning the stories, and I was even to the point of, the illustrations were also done. So I was almost to the point of publishing. Mm-hmm. And then I asked my friend Michelle, who was an author, to proofread them. And she came back to me saying my stories were a bit long for little ones. So it was kind of disappointing. But our common friend and mentor, Ellen, she proposed that we work together on this. So we kept the foundational aspects of what I wanted to convey, and we started over again. So our trio was really a match made in heaven in terms of synergy and complementarity. And Tools of the Heart would not have existed if either one of us had not been part of it. Mm-hmm. So I really have immense gratitude for that and for the work we've created together. So the work on my books is what inspired me to become a counselor and educator for children, and not the other way around. So I'm in the process right now of becoming a specialized educator. Mm-hmm. And I got in the program because of my previous work. So yeah.
It's fascinating how this came through. And just an aside, we have a lot of authors who listen to the show, and a lot of independently published authors. And Patrick experienced something that every author should experience, especially if you're trying to do this independently. Have someone edit your book. Have someone proofread your book. Because it's true, little kids, they can't listen to a 2,500 word book. It's just beyond their attention span. Yeah.
But, in the first, when we first set out to write the books, etc., I did like any author or creator, I looked for an editor. Mm-hmm. And, I think I had, three refusals and one acceptance. And like 3 months after that, it was a company that had a branch for children books. Uh-huh. And, but they closed this branch like 3 months later. They had replied to me. Uh-huh. So, but, that movie, Field of Dreams, mm-hmm. Build it and they will come.
There you go. Absolutely.
I kind of had this same drive, do them. And, I basically, self-edited myself, with the help of a company a printing company that, specialized in, print on demand. Mm-hmm. So this is what allowed me to edit my books, my 8 books, plus 2 volumes, in French and then in English without the cost of, printing thousands of books.
Right. Tell us, I imagine, in my first reaction, 3 or 4 years ago, before I started doing the Reading with Your Kids podcast, Yeah, I do a lot of, I do educational magic shows in schools all throughout the United States. And if someone had told me, well, we're going to teach 4 and 5-year-olds in a school setting how to meditate, I would say, good luck with that. How's that going to, because I've been in thousands of schools. I've never found one where it would be conducive to meditation. What's your experience been in Quebec and with the folks who are using tools of the heart? Is it realistic that we can teach our kids, and obviously we can teach our kids meditation at home, but is this something that we can really apply in a school setting?
I think it is possible. I've done it last year. I've done it with 2 classes of grade 1s, and it's surprising how being able to find your inner calm and be still, and we might think it's not a need for people, but actually, I think it is.
Oh,
to be able to wind down and have some downtime, but because one thing I have noticed, is that how can I say this? A problem that I observe frequently is that young children, they have their own rhythm, but what creates a lot of stress in them is the fact that we sometimes adults we put our expectations on them and our own rhythm. I'm kind of losing my voice, sorry. So yeah, one of the main causes of anxiety in young children is greatly due to the fact that we often ask them to follow the rhythm of adults instead of adults slowing down to the rhythm of children, and especially in school. And all children are different and have their own rhythm, and they all need to be able to feel respected in their own rhythm. And in order to feel safe and calm, to behave well and to learn better. Or else they might end up on survival mode, and that's not good for their development and at any level, whether it is cognitive, social, or emotional. So when children are able to be in tune with their own rhythm, it's easier for them to be calm and restful. But if they get pushed around too much, or they feel pressed by adults, what it creates then is that it might create in them the feeling that there's never enough time, and it makes them jittery and insecure, and this insecurity can translate into restlessness and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's why the first book of the series, the theme of the book is breathing and finding your own rhythm.
I think it's real important, especially these days, because I look back at my childhood, which happened. We were just getting electricity, I think, but it was a lot different. It was a lot different, and there's a lot more stimulus today. When I was a kid, being stimulated was going outside and seeing the birds in the trees and the bugs and all of that stuff. Life moved at a much slower pace. And there wasn't as much stimulus as there are today. Kids today are so stimulated, and not just by screens. We blame a lot of that stimulation that kids experience on all the screens in their lives. But we have to remember that we as parents are putting a lot of stress and stimulation on kids too. We have our kids way overscheduled, and they're in all sorts of activities, and it seems that every moment of their days are scheduled and planned and structured, and there's not a lot of time for kids to kind of sit and just be in their own rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the major point that stuck out from my years of journeying through self-discovery and through therapy and coaching, etc., is that for eons, we have been shown and educated and compelled and trained and conditioned to place the worth of people and other considerations, such as family, work, and money, and friends, etc., above our own sense of worth and our own needs. Meaning that those things matter more than us. Our feelings, our needs, our emotions, our tastes and desires, and who we are, were often considered less important. And, if decades ago the situation was generally tolerated and tolerable, today's fast-paced society, I think, makes it really difficult to unwind and keep track of the essential things in our life, like starting with our basic needs. And I think that being able to tend to our basic needs involves us being able to manage our own rhythm and paying attention to bodily signs of fatigue and stress and so on. So, if children are not educated or trained to pay attention to this or consider it important, then they just become busy bees, So, I think it's important that we model this kind of behavior on children, how to recognize how we are feeling, not just emotionally, but physically as well.
I love a lot of what you're saying, but one of the things that kind of the question that came to my mind, and I'm not sure if you're able to answer this, but there seems to almost be a kind of a conflict. We want kids to be able to be in tune with themselves and to care for themselves and to find ways to meet their needs, but we also need to help them learn how to work together and work cooperatively. And that's one of the things I'm hearing from people who own businesses and are trying to hire young people they're telling me they can't find young people who really know how to work with each other. Is there a conflict? Are we able to reconcile this conflict so that we can teach kids to be aware and be grounded and to self-care, but also, kind of also be able to, not be completely self-focused and work with others?
I think that at some point, there has been a focus on, developing self-esteem in children, and to a point maybe that that was the sole focus, and it might have created a few how can I say this? Narcissistic tendencies in some aspects, like giving too much attention to, it's one thing to give attention to your needs, but it's another to give too much attention or too much importance, and, perhaps it is one of the reasons why, people seem so, individualized today. It's something I see on schoolyard as well. Very little tolerance for difficulties. One thing, it makes me realize that one thing that I think is responsible for that also is the overprotectiveness that parents from those generations, like maybe 10, 20 years ago, there has been this sort of overprotectiveness, and when you overprotect the children, it makes them feel a bit powerless, and so everything around them becomes might become a challenge or scary, or because they're not used to deal with disappointments or being answered no.
Yeah.
This is something I see a lot, taking no for an answer. My God, are you kidding me? So Yeah, there has been at a certain time, moment for a couple of years, a bit of overprotectiveness. And I see that because I work in the school, and, there are a lot of rules on the schoolyard that have more to do with protecting ourselves against, parent comebacks than the needs of the children per se.
Even
Honestly.
in Canada. I know, my wife is a teacher, so I completely get what you're saying.
Oh yeah. So I think that the basic needs of the children were a bit lost. I think for the sake of maintaining a high self-esteem.
Yeah.
And a sense of security. Go
ahead.
And I think you get those by developing autonomy, but that's not what happened.
Yeah. Well, as you were speaking, you answered my question, because I can definitely see if we're helping our kids self-care, if we're helping them to kind of be grounded and to live in the moment. And so, and if they have that kind of confidence, then when they hear no, they'll be less likely to freak out, know? And,
exactly.
And they'll be able to, kind of live in the moment and not worry about, well, if I don't get it right now, I'm not going to, and you can, when you see a kid flip out, you can almost hear all those wheels turning in their heads. It's, they're so distracted, it's so loud. So, yeah, I can understand how this actually could, getting kids to kind of focus in self-care could help them become much more cooperative, much better teammates.
Yeah, and I think that in wanting to create more self-esteem in their children, a few years back, parents, unbeknownst to them, lowered their boundaries a little bit more, to become more friendly with their children, and basically maybe to have just a good time with their children, and to be buddies like maybe they did not have the chance with their own parents. We're always trying to correct course with what was passed down onto us and what we missed. So I think that's one factor that allowed maybe us parents to become more overprotective, and which made us not foster autonomy enough and resilience.
Yeah. So important for us to help our kids become resilient. Well, we've been talking a lot. You've been talking about helping kids find their inner car, and how your 8-book series, Tools of the Heart, can help us do that. What are 3 steps that we can teach our kids that'll help them find their inner calm?
Well, I would say the first step would be to find a quiet place, like soft music perhaps, and sit comfortably, because comfort is important. And to become aware of your breathing and slowly bringing them longer and slower and deeper, but still remaining comfortable. And step 3, your brain will always work and thoughts will always arise, so resistance is futile. Instead, allow whatever comes to you to be, and then let it pass. And perhaps create a time period where you contemplate all the things you are grateful for, because gratitude can easily shift our mood and the thoughts that are being created. Because, like Buddha said, your thoughts become your actions become your habits, and your habits become who you are. So if we are more able to master our thoughts, then we are more able to master how we react to whatever stimulus or stimuli we have, whether it is enjoyable or painful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, teaching kids to be grateful, to live gratefully, I think is such a gift that we can give to our kids. and there's so much science now to back it up that, kids are and adults. It's a great gift we can give to ourselves. People who live gratefully are happier. They tend to be healthier. They can endure pain longer. It's just such a wonderful gift we can give to ourselves. Now, those 3 steps, helping our kids find a quiet place, focus on their breathing, kind of be grateful, let the negative thoughts go. Are they the same 3 steps that parents can use when the kids are driving us crazy and we need to find our inner calm?
Well, I think that as young parents, I think one of the responsibilities that we should have would be to be open and honest to ourselves about what we observe in our children that is already present in either one of the parents, because, those mirror neurons, tend to work more than we give them credit for. Mm-hmm. The credit neurons they are neurons that help little children mimic what they see. Mm. So of course, if we are as adults and parents capable of winding down and able to model those self-care habits, then for sure the children are going to pick up on it. Mm-hmm. And but sometimes, like, even with the best intentions, there might be certain things that prove more difficult for the children, like patience and stillness. Maybe 2 things I would look for is, number 1, I'm talking more perhaps for young children here, their personal rhythm. So is there any point during the day where the child feels pressure or pushed around, like daycare time, dinner time, bath time, bedtime, those moments in the routine where everything needs to go maybe fast, so this pressure might induce the belief that the children never has enough time to do what he wants, so he can become more impatient and restless. And number 2, autonomy, because from the time they can walk, children are driven to explore and do things on their own. So perhaps look for any where autonomy is, they're having difficulty with their autonomy. Mm-hmm. And like I said, to model self-care, teach them the importance of downtime, recognizing their own signs of fatigue, because that may foster more responsibility regarding their own physical needs. Mm-hmm. And if children know how to take good care of themselves, they will self-regulate more easily, and those good habits will and good attitudes will develop more naturally, I think.
Yeah. Well, this is fascinating. Tell everybody where they can find out more about Tools of the Heart and where they can connect with you online.
Through my website, of course, at toolsoftheheart.com, on Facebook or Instagram. My books are also available through my website, my online shop on my website, and through Amazon, Barnes & Nobles online, Indigo online. And like I mentioned, the books are sold individually, but they are also regrouped into 2 volumes, Tools of the Heart, Volume 1 and 2.
Excellent. And because it's, you told me the original name of Tools of the Heart in French, and it's beautiful, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it. So tell us, because it's beautiful. Tell us the Tools of the Heart in French.
Okay, it's Outils pour la vie.
Outils pour la vie.
Yeah, it actually means tools for life. But when I came around to translating the name, Tools for Life didn't sound really catchy. Okay. And Tools of the Heart sounded more in tune with the product. So
wonderful. Well, yeah. We've had a fascinating time, and we definitely want to encourage folks to check out Tools of the Heart by our guest Patrick Arguin. Patrick, thank you so much for being part of our show.
Thank you, Jed. It was a pleasure being with you.
Please Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. I'm really, really excited. My friend, and she has become a friend, Shannon Anderson. She will be on to talk about her book, Go the Extra Smile, and also her other book, Be an Amazing Writing Teacher. I love Shannon. I've had the pleasure of being in Shannon's classroom, meeting her students, seeing the amazing things that she's doing. So if you are a teacher, you don't want to miss it. If you're a parent, you don't want to miss this show because there are some great ideas that you can share with your kids' teachers. Speaking of teachers, we have so many authors who listen to the show. I have a question for you, authors. If you had an amazing marketing teacher who could give you some advice on how to market your book, would you appreciate that? Well, let me share some. One of our guests, Lori Olinsky, has a great background in marketing. She is an amazing marketer. She's now an amazing children's author who is marketing her book really, really successfully. And she is a 2-time Reading with Your Kids certified great read author. I asked Laura, I said, why, you have this great marketing background. Why would you need to have your book go through the Certified Great Read program? And she said that the Certified Great Read program has given me more credibility as an author when I'm pitching my books to stores, libraries, and even media outlets. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. Our Certified Great Read program, in a nutshell, we have a panel of teachers, parents, and kids. And if they believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a certified great read. And with that certification comes a number of great tools that can really help your book stand out amongst a crowd of books that are published every single month. And like Lori says, gives you extra credibility when you go in and you're telling folks about your book. You can learn more about it by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Author Services button at the top of the page. Find out if this is a program that you want to invest in. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so very, very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank the driving force behind Tools of the Heart, Patrick Arguin, our guest today. I want to thank my amazing sponsor, Books.com, Vooks.com, Books.com. I want to thank my amazing producer, Fatima Khan. Be sure to check out her blog at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. And, of course, I want to thank you, the beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Thank you so much for joining us today. And, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.